Baba Vanga predicted 2026, the year of the fire horse. Only 7 zodiac signs will get $1 million. Baba Vanga's published words about 2026 came as a shock even to experienced esotericists. Her prediction clearly states that in the year of the fire horse, only 7 signs of the zodiac will be able to enter a powerful cash flow, capable of elevating them to the level of millionaires. This is not a metaphor or an image. It is a specific energy shift that opens the way to huge financial gains for those who are ready to accept this challenge. The year of the fire horse will bring rapid changes, and those affected by its power will be among the first to feel it. The power of this year is marked by sharp leaps in opportunities, breakthroughs that will not be repeated, and chances that come only once in a lifetime. That is why Vanga emphasized, these 7 chosen ones must know their fate in advance so as not to miss the moment. Today, I will reveal who is destined to receive $1 million and what energies will lead them to this result. Next, you will hear specifics without veiled formulations, without unnecessary metaphors. Only the essence of what awaits each of the signs. Before we continue, write your zodiac sign in the comments and see if you are on this list. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new esoteric analyses and important predictions that can change your life. For Aries, 2026, the year of the fire horse, will not look like abstract happiness from heaven, but rather like a clear sequence of decisions that will gradually add up to a sum with 6 zeros. And it is precisely this practical, almost mathematical scenario that Baba Vanga reflected in her words when she spoke about those who will be able to turn their character into capital. Aries enters this year not empty-handed. Behind them is accumulated experience of tough deadlines, risky leaps, conflict situations where they had to push, negotiate, defend their own, and all this will suddenly begin to monetize. The key idea is simple. 2026 will no longer forgive chaos, but will generously reward determination. If earlier it was possible to emotionally quit a job, burn bridges, and then it will work out somehow. Now every step in your career and finances will have a price that will be visible in a few weeks or months. Where Aries previously saw only tension, now there will be a specific monetary equivalent, extra zeros in the contract, a percentage of the deal, a share in the business, a bonus for results, which will take income to a qualitatively different level. This year, there will be an opportunity to take on a leadership role in a project that others are afraid to take on. A difficult launch, a department restart, a company's entry into a new market, or the transformation of processes that everyone has been putting off for years. This task will be a springboard to $1 million if Aries is not afraid of the amount of responsibility and does not start running away to small side jobs for quick money. The year of the fire horse gives Aries a chance to show their main strength, the ability to turn on full power when others find it difficult to get off the couch. At a time when most people will be discussing the news, complaining about circumstances, and changing plans without any system, Aries will be able to use this background to leap forward, take on difficult negotiations, find new partners, and agree to a more serious level of responsibility, where it is not about salary, but about a real share in the result. In financial terms, the forecast is harsh and honest. Don't expect easy money for likes, empty promises, or pretty words. Money will come where there is a specific product, service, or result. This could be launching your own project, professional expertise, scaling up an existing business, or moving away from the salary for hours worked format to a payment for goals achieved model. Baba Vanga spoke about those who will be able to not just work, but manage the process. And this is exactly what applies to Aries. The year of the fire horse pushes us not to run more, but to think like an owner, not a hired worker. An important point will be the transition from emotional spending to strategic spending. Where money was previously spent on spontaneous purchases, impulsive entertainment, and urgent trifles, now you will have to learn to pause and ask yourself, does this bring you closer to $1 million? Or does it just relieve stress for a few minutes? In 2026, Aries will experience in practice what cash flow distribution is: one account for reserves, another for investments, a third for daily expenses. And each of them will have its own logic. Part of the money will go towards professional development, training, tools, equipment, and platforms that increase the value of Aries' competencies. The other part will go to specific assets: a business that brings in regular income, a partnership in a promising direction, perhaps a share in someone else's project that needs just that kind of energy and drive. It is important that this year, every amount invested with a cool head will have a chance to return several times over if you do not follow the old schemes of quick money without responsibility. A separate emphasis is on the ability to persuade people. 2026 will bring situations where it will be necessary to clearly and reasonably explain why your decisions are beneficial for all participants. Negotiating with an employer about a percentage of profits, talking to partners about changing the model of cooperation, presenting your idea to an investor or team. All this will become everyday episodes, not life events. The fire horse enhances charisma, but does not grant it automatically. If Aries can back up their confidence with concrete figures, facts, and plans, the result will be contract amounts that previously seemed unattainable. In this scenario, $1 million is not a lottery win, but a combination of signed agreements, implemented projects, and correctly set priorities, where each step logically follows from the previous one. Certain decisions will seem harsh. You may have to leave a partnership that is dragging you down, terminate an unprofitable contract, or give up a warm place with a limited income ceiling. Instead of stable but low pay, you will have several months of intense work with no guarantees, and it will be easy to give up during this period. But this is precisely where the prophecy will come true. The Aries who does not return to their comfort zone but continues to move forward will be the one who makes a qualitative leap in income. The people you work with will play an important role. In 2026, Aries will not have random acquaintances, but specific contacts. A strong specialist who will help structure finances. A partner with experience in another field who will cover weaknesses. A client who will bring several more large customers. There will also be room for sober assessment. Not everyone who smiles will be helpful, and not everyone who criticizes will be a hindrance. Some of the criticism will prove to be a valuable hint about which processes need to be changed, where to abandon chaos, and where to finish old business. The year of the fire horse will force Aries to get used to the fact that money loves clarity, clear contracts, transparent conditions, and a clear division of responsibilities. If earlier it was possible to agree verbally, now it is better to put everything in writing so as not to lose part of your income due to misunderstandings. Another important point is the relationship to time. Aries will stop perceiving the day as a sequence of random events and will begin to divide it into blocks: work, development, contacts, and rest. This structure will include money hours, periods when they consciously work on things that directly affect their income, preparing commercial proposals, working with clients, launching new areas, analyzing figures, rather than mindlessly switching between tasks. It is during these hours that ideas and decisions will be born that will add up to $1 million. At the same time, the year will not take away the Aries' emotions, but will only teach them to control them. There will be moments when nerves will give way, when you want to slam the door, write a harsh message, or break an agreement in a fit of irritation. But every time you manage to restrain yourself and replace impulse with cold analysis, it will turn into saved money, saved opportunities, and saved connections. Where others will ruin their reputation, Aries will be able to strengthen theirs. As a person who is responsible for their words, sees things through to the end, and does not hide at the first sign of trouble. As a result, 2026, the year of the fire horse, will not seem like a fairy tale or a miracle for Aries. It will be a year when every yes and every no will have financial consequences. A year when character will cease to be just a personality trait and become a tool for earning money. A year when persistence, straightforwardness, and inner fire will allow you to do what others consider unrealistic. $1 million in this scenario is a logical result when energy is directed not at fighting the whole world, but at building your own system, where every day works toward future scale. And every action brings you closer to the moment when the amount in your account confirms that Baba Vanga's prophecy for this sign has come true in the most concrete way possible. Taurus. In the year of the fire horse, a clear path to great wealth is forming for Taurus, and it is this sign that Baba Vanga will associate with the ability to turn stability into real money. A person born under this constellation will not dream, but will calculate, plan, check, and act again, until the amounts in their accounts reach $1 million. Vanga's prophetic words about those who will put money on a solid foundation will apply most accurately to Taurus. This sign will not throw money down the drain, but will build a system where every resource invested will begin to pay off. In January 2026, Taurus will experience its first financial shift. An offer or idea will appear that will force them to take a broader view of their work. This could be a promotion, a new direction of activity, an opportunity to enter a new market, change the format of cooperation, or move from a fixed salary to a model where income is tied to results. January will be a month of analysis. Taurus will need time to compare figures, conditions, risks, and prospects. During this period, it will be important to give up the habit of clinging only to familiar stability. In her prophecies, Baba Vanga will emphasize that in the year of the fire horse, earth signs, especially Taurus, must overcome their fear of change, and this will be the start of a great financial upswing. In February 2026, Taurus will have to work more actively with contacts. People will appear who will offer partnerships, new forms of cooperation, and joint projects. These conversations will require a clear head. Not every cool idea will become a source of real income. Taurus will be distinguished by their ability to ask the right questions. Where are the specific figures? What will the distribution of profits be? What guarantees are there? What resources are needed? It is in February that it will be possible to sign the first important agreement, which will later grow into a serious source of income. Vanga's influence will manifest itself in the fact that Taurus's intuition about people will be noticeably sharper. They will sense who can be trusted and who is better to keep at a distance. March 2026 will be a month of decisive steps. Taurus will not only plan, but also begin to take concrete actions. They will open an individual business or other form of activity, expand the range of services, expand the range of goods, and work more actively with advertising, platforms, and the customer base. Income will not yet look huge, but there will be a clear division in the financial structure. Some of the money will go towards development, some into reserves, and some towards everyday needs. Baba Vanga will say that it is during such periods that the structure of future wealth is laid down, not through random luck, but through disciplined steps. In April 2026, Taurus will be working at the limit of their endurance, but it is this pace that will lead to a breakthrough. There will be more orders, more customers will appear, and the first serious sums, which previously seemed unattainable, will begin to come in. The ability to select tasks will become important. It will not be worth taking on everything in a row. Taurus will choose what leads to growth, not just what takes up time. During this period, what Baba Vanga spoke about will become particularly clear: attention to detail, accuracy in documents, precision in calculations. Mistakes corrected in April will help avoid major losses in the second half of the year. May 2026 will bring Taurus time to review their financial strategy. There will be opportunities to invest in knowledge, technology, business development, new tools, advertising, and team expansion. Taurus will look at every expense through the prism of future income. If certain purchases previously seemed expensive or unnecessary, it will now become clear that they are the ones that open the way to new customers and larger contracts. In May, the first thoughts about scaling up may appear. Expanding to other cities or countries, creating an additional line of products or services, changing pricing policy. Vanga's words that this sign will collect money like earth in strong palms will manifest themselves in Taurus's readiness to act systematically. In June 2026, Taurus will experience its first significant jump in income. The amounts that will be credited to accounts will exceed all previous benchmarks. There may be the appearance of one large client or partner who will provide a significant part of the annual turnover. At the same time, there will be a temptation to quickly spend money, to update everything that has long been desired, to allow oneself excessive purchases. This is where internal control will be needed. Taurus, who can restrain their impulses and not burn through their first big profit, will lay the foundation for a future million. Baba Vanga's prophecies hinted that in the year of the fire horse, it will be important not only to earn, but also to retain. July 2026 will be a time of optimization. Taurus will review processes, customer lists, promotion channels, advertising costs, and payment systems. Some areas will prove unprofitable and will have to be closed. In their place, new, more promising ones will appear. The ability to delegate will be important. Instead of doing everything themselves, Taurus will begin to delegate some tasks to other people. This will free up time for strategic decisions, searching for large contracts, and working with key clients. In July, it will become clear that the path to a million is not built on endless overload, but on proper organization. August 2026 will bring new information opportunities for Taurus. Courses, masterclasses, professional communities, and conferences where people talk about big money and successful cases will become an important part of development. Baba Vanga often emphasized that knowledge gained at the right time will change fate more than random gifts. In August, Taurus will absorb the experience of others, adapt it to their reality, and find practical tools for growth. It is then that the idea of a new product or format may be born, which will significantly increase the average check and allow you to work with fewer clients, but with greater profit. September 2026 will be a month of active action. Everything that was thought out in the summer will begin to be implemented. Taurus will launch new directions, review prices, change the terms of cooperation, and reach new audiences. During this period, important negotiations will be possible, resulting in lucrative contracts. The fire horse will strengthen determination, and the earthy nature of the sign will provide stability. The result will be stable, predictable income growth. Baba Vanga said that money loves consistency, and Taurus will demonstrate this most clearly in September. October 2026 will be a time when the numbers will begin to impress even the owner himself. Monthly earnings may equal what was previously earned in 6 months or a year. At this point, it will be important to remain sober. Instead of perceiving this as a peak, Taurus will realize that this is just a new level of normality. Part of the funds will go into investments, real estate, large projects, long-term financial instruments. The influence of Baba Vanga's prophecies will manifest itself here in Taurus's desire to create not a one-time large sum, but a long-term, stable base that will protect against fluctuations. November 2026 will bring the need to clearly see the entire financial path: income, expenses, investments, reserves. Taurus will work with numbers, reports, and balances. Unnecessary expenses, underestimated sources of income, opportunities for tax optimization, and legal aspects of the business will be revealed. This month, a professional approach will be especially important. Consultations with specialists, accurate planning, and legal clarity of agreements. What seemed difficult and tedious in previous years will now become an obvious tool for saving large sums of money. Baba Vanga will emphasize in her words that without order in documents, large sums of money will quickly disappear. In December 2026, Taurus will reach a milestone that they had previously only dreamed of. $1 million will cease to be an abstraction and will become a concrete indicator, consisting of dozens of decisions made throughout the year. This will be the result not of a single lucky break, but of systematic work. Correctly chosen partners, timely signed contracts, well-considered investments, restrained spending, discipline, and consistency. Baba Vanga's prophecies about the year of the fire horse for this sign will manifest themselves in the fact that Taurus will not wait for gifts, but will build economic reality with their own hands. Overall, the year for Taurus will look like a consistent strengthening of control over their income. First, the courage to change the format of work, then expansion, then optimization and investment. Each month will have its own task. Somewhere it will be more important to switch to a different model of cooperation, somewhere to distribute resources wisely, somewhere to learn to work with a team, and somewhere to raise the bar of expectations for oneself. As a result, people of this sign will emerge from the year of the fire horse with the understanding that $1 million is not the limit, but the point from which a whole new level of decisions begins. Baba Vanga, speaking of those who will be able to combine earth and fire within themselves, was in fact describing the Taurus of 2026. Collected, attentive to detail, ready to work long and consistently for a result that will change financial reality forever. Gemini. The financial picture for Gemini in 2026 will resemble a clearly structured system where every information contact, every agreement, and every professional step will be converted into specific amounts rather than abstract promises. Baba Vanga will indicate in her direct statements that this sign will begin to earn money so effectively that by the end of the year, intelligence, speech, and reaction speed will bring it to $1 million. This will not be a matter of random luck or a gift of fate. Gemini will raise their income level by managing information flows, by being able to find the right people at the right moment, and by being able to turn ideas into structured projects. At the beginning of the year, in January and February, Gemini will feel a change in demand for everything they can do with words: consulting, training, sales, advertising, media, online projects, working with texts, negotiations, scripts, and funnels. During this period, they will begin to receive more requests than usual, and this will be the first sign that Vanga's prophecy is coming true. People of this sign will not limit themselves to one source of income. In January, Gemini will create a customer base, test formats, and review pricing policies. In February, the approach will change. Instead of one-time small services, they will move to packages, subscription fees, and long-term contracts. that is when the first tangible step towards significantly more money will appear. Not by increasing the number of chaotic tasks, but by increasing the cost of 1 hour of their expertise. March will be the month when Gemini will begin to actively reach out. They will launch their own products, courses, programs, media formats, consulting packages, and integrations. They will no longer remain shadow specialists who are paid quietly and little. On the contrary, in March, this sign will focus on publicity, recognition, and audience expansion. Baba Vanga's words that Gemini will be able to earn money with their voice will come true. Webinars, live broadcasts, podcasts, videos, and trainings will bring not only symbolic profits, but also tangible sums that will grow with each launch. Everything related to communication will sell better than before, and the twins will take advantage of this. In April, another important factor will be added to these processes: time structuring. The twins, who previously often scattered themselves across dozens of tasks, will be forced to organize their day differently in 2026. They will begin to allocate monetary hours for key tasks, preparing commercial proposals, working with large clients, reviewing monetization tools, and launching new products. Thanks to this, income will become more stable in April, rather than jumpy. Vanga's prophecies indicate that time management will be crucial for this sign. Those who continue to live in a state of constant distraction will lose out on significant amounts of money. Those who, on the contrary, organize their schedule will see how, within a month, their earnings will approach what they previously earned in several months. May and June will open the first huge wave of financial growth. In May, Gemini will scale up what has already shown results. The most successful formats, projects, and products will receive additional advertising, new promotion channels, and partner integrations. Instead of constantly coming up with something fundamentally new, this sign will reuse what already works. This will clearly resonate with Vanga's words that in the year of the fire horse, empty ideas without practical steps will have no value, but a refined, stable product with clear benefits for people will bring in more and more money. In May, the first agreements will be signed with figures that previously seemed maximum. In June, Gemini will begin to receive offers that will take them to a new level. These may be large-scale collaborations, participation in major projects, work with brands, orders from customers with high solvency. At this time, it will be important not to agree to all options in a row. Gemini will analyze where the distribution of profits is profitable, where the legal terms are clear, where the terms are adequate, and where the scope of responsibility is realistic. It is in June that there will be a chance to sign a contract that will secure a significant part of the future million. Baba Vanga will emphasize that for this sign, it is written agreements, contracts, and official agreements that will become the framework that will protect them from financial losses. July, August, and September will form the second major growth period. Gemini will not relax in the summer. On the contrary, it is during these months that they will develop new directions. In July, they will start working with foreign markets, reaching out to customers from other cities and countries, launching other language versions of products, and attempting to enter new niches. At the same time, in July, this sign will not destroy what is already profitable. It will simply add a few more streams to the main source. This will lead to an increase in total income, and by midsummer, some representatives of the sign will see amounts on their balance sheets that they previously could not even imagine as real for themselves. August will be a month of financial strategy review for Gemini. They will have enough data to see which areas are most profitable and which are just a waste of time. Representatives of this sign will make pragmatic decisions. They will discontinue products that do not provide a normal margin and strengthen those that are capable of scaling up. In August, price tags will be adjusted, premium packages will be introduced, and more expensive formats will be created for customers with high demands. At this stage, Baba Vanga will associate Gemini with people who will learn to earn not by quantity, but by the quality of each contract. September will consolidate the growth trend. Gemini will see that their name, reputation, and results are starting to work for them automatically. Recommendations, repeat customers, new requests through word of mouth. In September, they will begin to receive money not only for their active work, but also for the system they have developed. Online products, recordings, automated sales funnels, licenses, and royalties. This period will clearly show that Vanga's prophecy of 1 million for this sign will be based not on a single monetary jump, but on a combination of stable, recurring flows. October, November, and December will form the final stretch to 1 million, but Gemini will move not through nervous rush, but through systematic consolidation. In October, they will focus on protecting what they have already earned. There will be a need to spread capital across different baskets. Part will go into reserves, part into business development, and part into investments that do not depend on daily activity. In October, they will turn to specialists in financial planning, taxation, and legal support. For this sign, it will be important not just to have a large amount of money, but to structure it so that no sudden decision will nullify years of effort. In this, Baba Vanga will emphasize their responsibility for the money that will come this year. In November 2026, Gemini will strengthen their influence. They will transform from hard-working specialists into figures who are sought after for their expertise, advice, and strategic decisions. Their income will depend less and less on small tasks and more on large, expensive projects. In November, they may receive offers to take on a management position, enter into a partnership, acquire a share in a business, or become a co-founder of a company or division. For some representatives of this sign, it is this share, rather than salary or fees, that will provide the decisive step towards 1 million. Vanga's words reveal a clear motive here. Gemini, who are not afraid to take responsibility for decisions, will be able to manage flows rather than simply performing other people's tasks. December will be the month when all the links in the financial chain come together. Over the course of the year, Gemini will accumulate not only money, but also experience, systems, audience, reputation, and connections. By the end of the year, these elements will converge at a single point, and people born under this sign will see an amount exceeding 1 million or confidently approaching it in their accounts. The income structure will be multi-level: active work, scalable products, regular payments, partnership deductions, and investment income. This will not look like a one-time random win. On the contrary, it will be the result of this sign consistently using its own mind, language skills, quick thinking, and sociability as a tool for earning money throughout the months of 2026. Throughout the year, there will be several critical moments in the life of Gemini, which Baba Vanga directly hinted at. The first is the fear of raising the price of their work. This sign will often underestimate their services, thinking that it's okay as it is. In 2026, this position will be unacceptable. Every time Gemini raise their rates on time, their income will grow exponentially. The second moment is the need to choose a direction. Constantly switching from one area to another will no longer bring either satisfaction or money. Vanga will indicate that Gemini should focus on activities that create value for others most quickly. The third point is responsibility for one's word. All promises, contracts, and public statements in 2026 will have financial weight. If Gemini keeps their word, their circle of clients and partners will expand, and bring in increasingly larger sums. Throughout the year, Gemini will learn not to take everything upon themselves. They will form a team: assistants, technical specialists, marketers, designers, people who take on routine tasks. The more they delegate small tasks, the higher their hourly income will be. Vanga's prophecies about this sign will be directly related to the ability to focus on what brings in the most revenue: strategy, negotiations, the creative core of the product, and personal branding. When Gemini focus on these areas, money will start coming in faster than they can get used to the new level. $1 million for this sign in 2026 will consist of specific figures: amounts from contracts, income from online sales, interest from partnerships, bonuses for achieved indicators, accumulated reserves. Describing such people, Baba Vanga will emphasize the ability of Gemini not only to come up with ideas, but also to bring them to fruition. Not only to talk, but also to put conditions on paper. Not only to start, but also to finish. As a result, the year of the fire horse will be a period when intellect, flexibility, and speech will turn into capital. Twins who take advantage of this will emerge from 2026 with a clear inner feeling. $1 million is not the limit, but a new working standard to which they will become accustomed, just as they once became accustomed to their first small fees. Cancer. The year of the fire horse in 2026 will push Cancer to make financial decisions that they would not have dared to even think about before. Where in previous years they would have chosen security, postponement, and waiting for the right moment, now there will be a concrete desire to reach the $1 million mark and consolidate this result. Baba Vanga will repeatedly emphasize that this zodiac sign will have a chance to break out of the vicious circle of doubts and fears if they stop hiding their abilities and finally learn to charge a fair price for them. Throughout the year, Cancer will move not by leaps and bounds, but by steady growth. But each episode of this movement will have its price in concrete figures. In January, Cancer will complete old business, pay off debts, and deal with unprofitable obligations. Any unresolved issues regarding loans, deferrals, and old debts between acquaintances will no longer drag on for years. This sign will gather documents, negotiate restructuring, and pay off small amounts to free up their financial field. It is during this period that they will realize how much money has been lost due to a chaotic attitude towards obligations. Under the influence of the energy of the year and Vanga's prophecies, Cancer will see that the path to $1 million will begin not with random luck, but with the reorganization of everything that already exists. In February, this sign will begin to value their own time and professional skills differently. If previously Cancer agreed to work through connections for symbolic money, or even without pay for the sake of relationships, now this model will no longer suit them. They will calculate the cost of their time, analyze the market, and observe how much others earn for similar work. Gradually, a new internal standard will form. Cancer will simply not take orders below a certain amount. Baba Vanga will indicate that it is precisely because of this change in self-esteem that this sign will reach a new level of income, and not because of a random monetary gift. March will bring the first tangible results. Cancer will no longer waste time on trifles, but will focus on projects that have growth potential. At this time, clients may appear who are willing to pay regularly and generously for consistent quality. For some, these will be long-term employment contracts with bonuses and profit sharing. For others, large contracts in their own business. Cancer will realize that the less they try to please everyone, the more they will attract those who are willing to pay for a specific result. Vanga's words that this sign will stop giving itself away for free will take on a very direct financial meaning. In April, Cancer will work with information and contacts. They will establish relationships with those who have a real influence on money: managers, partners, suppliers, people who make decisions about large budgets. Instead of wasting time on empty conversations, people of this sign will begin to choose a circle of communication that will open the door to greater opportunities. During this period, the first invitations to new projects will appear, as well as the opportunity to move to another company with a higher income threshold, or the option to become a co-owner of an already operating business. Subconsciously, Cancer will analyze where there is a chance not only to earn money, but also to scale up. Baba Vanga's prophecies will remind them that in 2026, hiding in the shadows will be the shortest path to financial stagnation. May will reveal the topic of additional sources of income for Cancer. They will begin to understand that relying on only one salary or one category of clients is dangerous. Ideas for parallel directions will appear: freelance projects, online products, consulting, small affiliate programs, monetization of hobbies. Cancer will not rush into everything at once, but will test formats, track what brings real money and what only takes away energy. In May, they will learn to distinguish between the illusion of busyness and real productivity. In this context, Baba Vanga will emphasize that it is the ability to choose a few strong areas instead of 10 weak ones that will bring this sign closer to $1 million. The summer of 2026 will be a decisive period of financial acceleration. By June, Cancer will already have a formed core of income and clear guidelines for what works best. They will strengthen these areas, raise prices, offer expanded service packages, increase volumes, and enter new markets. In June, the first serious jump in income is expected, when the monthly amount will exceed everything he has earned before in the same period. Instead of fearing to lose customers due to price increases, Cancer will feel that even more motivated customers are turning to him, ready to pay for results. In July, the issue of team and delegation will arise. Cancer will understand that he can no longer handle all requests, maintain quality, develop new areas, and keep track of finances on his own. At this point, he will start looking for people to whom he can delegate some of his tasks: technical specialists, assistants, accountants, and business assistants. This will free up time for higher-level decisions. Baba Vanga will indicate in her predictions that Cancer will cease to be a loner who carries everything on their shoulders, and it is this change in model that will allow them to reach new heights. August will bring the need to take a close look at expenses. At this stage, Cancer's income will already be large enough to pose a risk of uncontrolled consumption. Impulsive purchases, expensive trifles, emotional spending for the sake of company. In August, the ability to filter desires will be key. Cancer will create financial rules. A certain percentage of income will go into reserves, another into investments, another into business development, and only a part into personal pleasures. This will make them feel more mature and confident. Vanga will associate this period with the transition from the earned-spent model to responsible management of large sums. The fall of 2026 will be a stage of consolidating successes. In September, Cancer will work on consolidating projects. Instead of dozens of small contracts, they will choose a few key but high-margin ones. This will apply to both salaried work and private practice or business. September will be the month when this sign learns to give up everything that does not correspond to its new level. Instead of fearing being left without work, they will feel that every refusal of an unserious client will open up a place for someone who is able to pay several times more. In October, Cancer will focus on the legal and tax aspects of their finances. Formalizing their activities, choosing the right form of taxation, consulting with specialists, and working with contracts will no longer seem like something scary and incomprehensible. On the contrary, they will feel calmer with clear documents and a transparent scheme. Baba Vanga will emphasize in her messages that big money does not like chaos, and Cancer will understand this particularly keenly in 2026. Any attempt to save on transparency will come back with risks and nerves, while order in the paperwork will protect against both fines and conflicts. November will be the month when Cancer will be able to look back on their year from a height. By this point, they will already have several active sources of income, a reserve fund, their first investments, and a stable flow of clients or projects that do not depend on chance. They will see how much their attitude toward money has changed, from constant anxiety and economizing on everything to strategic resource management. Baba Vanga's prophecies for this sign predict just such a transformation. A person who once feared risk will act cautiously but boldly in 2026, understanding that large capital is not created in a day. December will sum up Cancer's financial path in the year of the Fire Horse. At the end of this period, they will have every chance of reaching a total income equal to or exceeding 1 million. This will not be a single win or a one-time bonus, but the result of accumulated turnover, thoughtful work with several sources of income, order in documents, discipline in spending, and a correctly chosen circle of partners. Cancer will realize that Vanga's prophecies about this sign will come true not in the form of miracles, but through specific decisions that he will make every month. The year 2026 will transform them from a person who hides behind their own fears into someone who relies on themselves, their skills, and their systematic actions. And it is for this that they will receive 1 million, not just hope. Separately, in 2026, an important topic of family and household decisions that will directly affect money will open up for Cancer. An apartment, a house, repairs, moving, and large purchases for the home will no longer be perceived as chaotic expenses. Cancer will calculate how each such decision will affect his ability to earn money. If they need a new workplace, equipment, or a separate room for their activities, they will invest in it as a tool, not as a whim. In January and April, they will consider where it is more convenient for them to work, whether it makes sense to change cities or neighborhoods to reduce travel time, reduce stress, and thus free up additional hours for earning money. Baba Vanga will mention that for this sign, the walls of the house will not be a cage, but a support for income growth. Relationships will play an important role. In 2026, Cancer will stop dragging along people who suck up resources and give nothing in return. In February, May, and September, the theme of boundaries will come to the fore. He will learn to say no when people only demand from him without offering support. This will also apply to financial requests. Those who are used to borrowing from him until payday will receive clear answers. Cancer will realize that every loan without guarantees is a minus to his million. Vanga's words will sound like a reminder. Generosity must be conscious, not destructive. It is this position that will allow him to save hundreds and thousands that previously dissolved in other people's problems. In the professional sphere, the year of the Fire Horse will change Cancer's status. In March, June, and October, they will receive offers to take on more responsibility, to manage a department, lead a team, or become a key figure in a project. This will not be accompanied by pretty words, but by concrete additional payments, interest, bonuses, and premiums. Cancerians who agree to such roles will move towards 1 million faster. Those who remain at their usual level will see slower growth. Baba Vanga's prophecies will push them to the idea that sometimes it is worth taking on more difficult tasks, but with higher rewards than dozens of simple but low-paid ones. The topic of health will be no less important. In 2026, Cancer will begin to realize that their performance, concentration, and energy are directly related to their income. In January and July, he will review his sleep patterns, diet, and attitude toward rest. Instead of working himself to exhaustion and then spending money on recovery, he will develop a different approach: a clear schedule, regular breaks, and self-care. This will not be a fashionable trend, but a practical necessity. Vanga will note that this year, for Cancer, investing in the body will be no less important than investing in business, because without resources, no project will bring full returns. Another key area for this sign in 2026 will be learning and new skills. In March, May, August, and November, Cancer will invest in knowledge that will directly or indirectly increase their market value. Courses in management, financial literacy, sales, negotiations, and working with digital tools. These will not be chaotic online lessons about everything and nothing. They will choose programs that provide specific tools and immediately test them in practice. Baba Vanga will emphasize in her messages that in the year of the fire horse, it will not be those who have nothing to do who will learn, but those who will prepare a solid foundation for big money. At the end of summer and throughout the fall, Cancerians will develop a clear sense of their professional niche. If at the beginning of the year they are still unsure about what they want to do, in September-October, they will decide on the direction in which they will earn the most. Some will choose a career as an expert, some will focus on business, and some will prioritize creative activities that can be monetized effectively. The main thing is that Cancer will no longer be torn between a dozen opportunities. They will build a brand around one strong image: a reliable specialist, owner of a stable business, master of their profession. Vanga's prophecies for this sign suggest that clarity in positioning will bring not only respect, but also money. On an emotional level, 2026 will be a test for Cancer's readiness to accept large sums of money. Deep down, they will long consider money to be something dangerous. The more there is, the harder it is, the greater the risks. Under the influence of this year's events, this attitude will change. When sums that previously seemed alien to them arrive in their account in June, August, and December, Cancer will not hide from them or rush to get rid of them through a pile of purchases. They will learn to look calmly at large numbers and understand that it is their decisions that have created these results. It is then that Baba Vanga's words about a soul that has grown up to big money will take on special meaning. As a result, the entire year 2026 will shape a new financial identity for Cancer. Instead of an eternally anxious person who thinks about how to fit into a minimal budget, a different image will emerge. A responsible, systematic, detail-oriented owner of their life and income. In this context, $1 million will not seem like a dream detached from reality. It will be created from many decisions made in January, March, June, September, and November, when Cancer will choose not fear, but calculated courage. Baba Vanga, saying that this sign in the year of the fire horse will have a chance to reach a qualitatively different level of security, will in fact describe a person who will confirm with their actions every day. Big money will come when the readiness to keep it becomes no less of a priority than the readiness to receive it. Leo. When the energy of the fire horse ignites in 2026, Leo will gradually feel that the entire financial landscape revolves around their decisions, ambitions, and willingness to act more boldly than ever before. Baba Vanga will associate this sign with people who will not be satisfied with small victories. The Leo will aim immediately at large budgets, large-scale projects, and impressive results, where six-figure sums will become not a distant ideal, but a practical goal for the year. They will not wait for the right moment. They will create the conditions in which money will gravitate toward them, just as attention is drawn to a strong, confident figure on stage. In January, Leo will enter the year with a clear inner feeling that he will no longer agree to live on a minimum. He will begin to review all sources of income: salary, fees, bonuses, side jobs, monetization of creativity, and business areas. It will become clear that much of what previously seemed acceptable will now seem ridiculously low for the effort he puts in. January will be a month of review. Leo will analyze which projects are worth completing, which to get rid of, what to stop dragging along with no prospects, and where to raise the stakes. Influenced by Vanga's prophetic words, they will be ready to give up small, exhausting tasks to make room for work that will bring a much greater financial return. In February, the focus will shift to publicity and influence. Leo will begin to bring his talents to a wider audience: social networks, speeches, professional events, online platforms, and new communication channels. He will build an image of a person who is approached for results, not just for advice. During this period, a sharp increase in the number of contacts and requests is expected. They will be noticed by managers, clients with large budgets, and people responsible for important decisions. Leo will not hide behind modesty, but will allow themselves to speak directly about their own competencies. Baba Vanga will associate this sign in 2026 with someone who is not afraid to be in the spotlight and will receive money for it, not just applause. March will be the point when Leo begins to consolidate their financial goals. Instead of wanting to earn more than last year, they will set clear benchmarks: amounts, turnover, plans for the quarter, half year, and year. They will work with tables, figures, and forecasts that previously seemed like a boring routine, but will now become the basis for big decisions. In March, the first ideas about scaling up will appear: expanding the business, launching a new direction, increasing the average check, entering the premium segment. Baba Vanga once hinted that Leo would be able to turn ambitions into concrete financial plans, and this month will reveal this idea. In April, this sign will focus on partnerships. Instead of trying to do everything on their own, Leos will start looking for people with whom it is profitable to join forces. Specialists in related fields, investors, producers, project managers. People who know how to turn ideas into a large-scale system. In April, negotiations will be possible where the stakes will not be a fixed fee, but a percentage of the profit, a share in the company, or the right to participate in a major venture. Leo will conduct these talks confidently, understanding their value. Vanga will associate them with those who will not sell themselves cheaply, and this will be directly reflected in the figures of the contracts. May will bring the first serious payments for steps already taken earlier. At this time, Leo will feel that the cash flow is intensifying. Advances for future projects, large tranches for completed work, bonuses for completed plans, and deductions from joint businesses will appear. May will be the moment when he will really see that he is approaching $1 million, not in words, but through the accumulation of specific amounts in his accounts. At the same time, the temptation to reward himself will grow, with expensive purchases, status items, and impulsive spending. Baba Vanga will indicate that in 2026, Leo will learn to distinguish between a real reward and a momentary weakness. He will allow himself to spend some of the money on himself, but the lion's share of the amount will still go towards areas that will further increase his income. Summer will be a time of maximum acceleration for Leo. In June, they will work as if every day affects the final annual result, their schedule will be filled with meetings, shoots, new product launches, trips, and important negotiations. Leo will feel that they can keep up the pace and not break down under the load. In June, they can expect the first significant jump to an amount close to what they once called their ultimate dream. The influence of Vanga's prophecies will manifest itself in the fact that they will not stop at what they have achieved, but will perceive it only as proof that the system works. In July, Leo will adjust his strategy. He will see which areas have brought the best results and which have only taken up time and nerves for minimal money. This month, he will cut out the excess, terminate cooperation with those who do not fulfill their obligations, abandon ineffective advertising channels, and discontinue low-profit products. Instead, Leo will strengthen what has already demonstrated a high level of income: flagship services, premium packages, and working with an audience that values his expertise. Baba Vanga will associate him during this period with a surgeon who mercilessly cuts away everything that does not contribute to growth, and thanks to this, does not waste money on the unnecessary. August will become a month of personal branding. Leo will scale up his presence: interviews, publications, participation in major events, collaborations with other strong players, active work in the media space. His name will begin to be mentioned where major financial topics, business development, and professional standards are discussed. August will be a period when not only clients, but also competitors will recognize his position. Vanga once said that in the right year, Leo will be able to turn his reputation into a source of income. And it is in August that this aspect will become most apparent. New deals will come thanks to the support of those who have already seen his work, rather than through requests to give him a chance. The autumn months will begin to work as a multiplier. In September, Leo will reap the fruits of previous decisions. Large projects will be completed, final payments will be received, interest on turnover will be earned, investments in the launch will be returned, and royalties or regular payments for already created products will be received. September will be the period when the monthly amounts will reach a level that he did not even dare to mention a year ago. Baba Vanga will emphasize that in 2026, Leo will receive money not only for his current actions, but also for what he has done before. The system will start working for him, not the other way around. In October, the topic of capital as a resource of influence will come to the fore. Leo will decide where to direct the accumulated money, whether to buy real estate, invest in business scaling, enter new niches, or diversify investments between different instruments. This month, they will think not only about earnings, but also about protection, creating a financial cushion, insurance, distributing assets across different currencies, accounts, and jurisdictions. Baba Vanga will no longer associate them with a person who simply works hard, but with someone who manages large sums consciously and cold-bloodedly. November will be a period of internal testing of maturity. Leo will see how those around him react to his new level. Some will be sincerely happy, but some will be jealous, trying to pressure him, ask for things, and take resources. Leo will not allow himself to be manipulated. He will set clear financial and emotional boundaries, where he can help, and where such help will hit his system. In November, he will learn to say no much more confidently than before, and this will directly save his funds. Vanga will point out that the ability to weed out random people who see him only as a wallet will be one of the key conditions for preserving $1 million. In December, Leo will balance his finances for the year and see the big picture. How much he earned, where he invested, what brought the best results, and which decisions proved to be the most successful. On this basis, he will form a new level of norm. The six-figure sum will no longer be shocking. It will be perceived as the logical result of the year of the fire horse. Leos will know that Baba Vanga was right to include them among the 7 signs that will reach 1 million in 2026. They will go from lofty desires to concrete actions, from unfounded ambitions to a clearly functioning system where leadership, reputation, and professionalism will become full-fledged tools for monetization. Throughout the year, Leo's ability to take responsibility for the final result will play a special role. In January, March, June, and September, he will agree to tasks where it is not presence that is important, but the effect achieved, increasing turnover, launching a new direction, taking the brand to another level, and forming a strategy. He will be paid very different money for such tasks. Baba Vanga repeatedly emphasized that in a strong year, the Leo will not be a cog in the system, but will become the one who influences its movement. It is this position that will provide him with access to large budgets and the opportunity to collect an amount that will exceed any previous financial indicators. Another important aspect of 2026 is Leo's attitude towards his time and energy. He will not waste it on unnecessary contacts, empty meetings, and endless discussions that do not lead to decisions. With each passing month, he will become more and more selective about what is worth spending his time on. In February and April, he will reduce exhausting communication. In July and October, he will minimize tasks that do not yield financial results. Instead, he will keep only those things in his schedule that either bring in money, strengthen his brand, or develop his skills. Influenced by Vanga's words, Leo will feel that every hour invested in the right thing will multiply into money in the future, so wasting time will become unacceptable to him. In 2026, Leo will also change his learning strategy. He will not chaotically buy courses and programs for the sake of development itself. On the contrary, in March, May, and September, they will choose only those skills that will directly increase their market value: financial management, business scaling, negotiations, personal branding, and working with large clients. Leos will apply new tools immediately without putting them off until later. Baba Vanga would describe this sign as someone who, in the right year, does not look for magical methods, but uses practical knowledge to break through to the top. Leo's attitude to risk will also change. If earlier he often either rushed into things without thinking, or, on the contrary, hesitated for too long, in the year of the fire horse, he will learn to combine courage with cold analysis. In June and November, they will encounter proposals that will require decisiveness, investing in a new direction, moving for better opportunities, transferring to a company with greater ambitions, or starting their own business. Leo will not take random steps. He will calculate, consult, study the market, and only then make a decision. Vanga will note that in such a model of the year, risks will work not for destruction, but for a breakthrough. As a result, in 2026, the year of the fire horse, Leo will move toward 1 million through a combination of 3 key factors: big picture thinking, a willingness to be at the center of events, and clear financial discipline. He will not wait for someone to notice his value. He himself will draw the line between how much he gives to the world and how much he should receive in return. Baba Vanga, speaking of the 7 signs that will reach a special level of security, will see the Leo in this list, precisely for its ability to transform natural charisma and leadership qualities into stable, growing, protected capital, rather than short-lived flashes of success. Virgo. For Virgo, 2026, the year of the fire horse, will be a period when money will begin to respond to her consistency, attentiveness, and ability to bring every matter to a flawless conclusion. Where other signs will hope for random luck, Virgo will step by step build a model of income in which $1 million will seem like a logical result of her decisions. Baba Vanga will repeatedly emphasize that it is this sign that will be able to transform order, discipline, and professionalism into stable, large capital. And in the year of the fire horse, this will manifest itself most clearly. At the start of the year, in January, Virgos will not make any sudden moves. They will focus on analysis, reviewing all current sources of income, fixed expenses, small cash outflows, and unprofitable obligations. She will compile a realistic financial X-ray, where exactly she is losing, where she is underpaid, where she is working for an amount that does not correspond to her level. At this time, the first internal setting for a different scale will appear. Virgo will set specific financial benchmarks for herself and understand that in the current configuration, she will not reach them. According to Vanga, it is from an honest look at the numbers that this sign will begin its movement toward $1 million, rather than from dreams or emotional impulses. In February, Virgo will gradually change the format of her work. She will no longer agree to tasks where she spends hours and receives pennies. Instead of many small projects that are exhausting but poorly paid, she will begin to give preference to fewer but larger and more serious contracts. Virgo will raise the stakes, review fees, discuss new terms with clients or management, and justify her value with facts, results, and experience. Baba Vanga will associate this period with the awakening of Virgo's financial dignity. She will not ask, but will calmly set conditions that will lead her to a significantly higher income level. March will be the month when Virgos begin to actively structure their professional activities. They will divide their working time into blocks, separating tasks that directly bring in money from those that only create the illusion of busyness. It is this month that she will have clear money hours during which she will work only on the most profitable areas: key clients, high-value checks, and strategic projects. She will either reduce or move secondary tasks, endless correspondence, minor assignments, free consultations, outside of her main working hours. According to Vanga's prophecy, in the year of the fire horse, this selectivity in tasks will become one of the main tools for growth for Virgos. April for this sign will be associated with a qualitative change in the environment. Virgos will begin to weed out people who only create tension, but do not positively influence either their development or their income. Instead, specialists, partners, and professional communities will appear in her field, where they speak the language of results and numbers, not complaints. This month, she may join an association, club, or closed interest group, where access to information and contacts will directly translate into new financial opportunities. Baba Vanga will say that in 2026, the right people will pull the maiden towards money, and she will feel this very specifically, through offers coming from those she would not even have crossed paths with before. In May, Virgos will focus on improving their qualifications, but not chaotically, but as precisely as possible. They will choose training that will immediately increase their value on the market, narrow professional courses, in-depth programs, and certifications that will open access to a higher price segment. She will not spend money on general, motivational events. Instead, she will focus on specific tools, new technologies, methodologies, software, and standards that will allow her to earn significantly more for the same amount of work. Vanga will connect Virgos with those who earn money through competence rather than loud promises. This will become especially evident in May. After each stage of training, she will immediately change her approach, rates, and the structure of her offers. The summer of 2026 will not be a season of tranquility for Virgo. By June, she will already have revised terms of cooperation an updated price list, and a refined list of services or products. This month, she will test a new format of interaction with clients: packages instead of separate services, long-term contracts instead of one-time orders, subscriptions and maintenance instead of one-time sales. Income will begin to level out. Instead of a roller coaster ride with money, Virgo will see steady growth from month to month. Baba Vanga will describe it as a sign that she will be able to plan her financial schedule rather than just reacting to what the market gives her. In July, there will be a need to delegate. Virgo, accustomed to controlling every little thing, will see that with the growth in turnover, she will not be able to do everything herself. She will start looking for assistants, contractors, and specialists to perform technical, routine, or narrow tasks. This will not be easy from the point of view of her character, but it is necessary to move towards $1 million. She will gradually come to accept that her time as an expert is more valuable than the hourly savings on work that someone else can do. According to Vanga, it is precisely the ability to let go of some of the processes that will be one of the key transitions for Virgo to another financial level. August will be the month when Virgo begins to form and strengthen reserves. She will not spend every extra resource she earns. On the contrary, she will create several cushions for unforeseen expenses, for development, for investments. She will distribute her money across accounts, instruments, and currencies so that no single risk can instantly wipe out her work. Virgos will carefully study bank terms, deposit options, conservative investment instruments, and those that offer higher returns. Baba Vanga often said that in strong years, this sign will be able to not only earn money, but also protect what it has created. And in August 2026, this will be directly reflected in their financial behavior. Autumn will be a time of consolidation and scaling up for Virgos. In September, they will begin to bring together all their professional roles: employee, entrepreneur, consultant, author, performer. Instead of chaotic dispersion, she will create a unified system, one main brand, several well-thought-out directions, and transparent positioning. She will stop hiding her strengths, stop underestimating her resume, and stop being modest in describing her skills. In September, Virgo will occupy a clear niche and declare herself as a person responsible for results. Vanga's prophecies about this sign will be related to the fact that the year of the fire horse will make her noticeable at the level where large budgets are involved. In October, the financial trajectory will level out even more. Virgos will see which areas yield the highest profits with the least energy expenditure, and will bring them to the forefront. In return, she will cut off everything that has long been held onto out of pity or by inertia. This month will be a period of tough but profitable decisions, abandoning ineffective clients, closing unprofitable or low-profit projects, replacing weak links in the team. Virgo will do this without unnecessary drama, like a master who brings order to their own system. Baba Vanga will emphasize that such a pragmatic approach will directly increase their chances not only of reaching $1 million, but also of maintaining their growth rate. November will give Virgo the opportunity to see the results of their decisions on a yearly scale. At this time, the most significant amounts will be credited to her accounts: large fees for long-term projects, final settlements, investment income, bonuses, and premiums. Virgo will be able to calculate how much she has earned thanks to the fact that she once dared to give up small matters and focused on big goals. In November, there will be offers that are no longer about fixed payments, but about a share in a business, partnership, co-ownership of a product or brand. Vanga will link this stage with Virgo's transition from the role of a hired performer to the status of a co-creator of large financial structures. December will end the year with a confident confirmation. Virgo will be able to reach a total income for 2026 that will reach or exceed 1 million. This will not be a single win, a one-time gift, or an inheritance. It will be a sum consisting of all her active and passive income, salary or business profits, additional projects, investments, interest, and bonuses. In December, she will see how the months of the year of the fire horse come together in a clear financial line. January analysis, February review of conditions, March structuring, April contacts, May training, summer delegation and reserves, autumn scaling. All this will form a logical story with a specific number in the financial result. Baba Vanga will warn that for Virgos, 1 million in 2026 will not be the ceiling, but the first level from which more ambitious projects can be planned. Throughout the year, Virgos will also change their attitude towards everyday trifles that previously ate up money unnoticed. In January and March, she will review regular payments, subscriptions, and small purchases that have no real value. In June and September, she will consciously choose where to invest. Instead of pointless expenses to look successful, she will invest in tools that expand her earning potential. Vanga will emphasize that for Virgos in the year of the fire horse, it is rationality and sobriety in small things that will open the way to large sums. Another important theme of the year is health and resourcefulness. Virgos will begin to understand that their productivity, clarity of thought, and ability to concentrate are directly related to money. In February, July, and October, she will make changes to her routine. More sleep at the right times, clear breaks, and nutrition that does not take away energy but adds to it. This will not be a fashionable trend, but a cold calculation. If you burn out at work, 1 million may appear in your account, but it will not bring satisfaction. Baba Vanga will describe Virgo as a sign that, in a good year, will be able to take care of itself no less than its capital. In the area of relationships, 2026 will force Virgo to rethink its financial roles with loved ones. It will cease to be a silent sponsor that always makes up for others, forgetting its own goals. In March, May, and November, there will be situations when she will be asked to save, lend, or help. Virgo will not become cold, but she will see very clearly where her participation will really change something and where it will only continue someone else's irresponsibility. She will set the rules, the amounts she is willing to give without harming her budget, the conditions under which she can invest in other people's ideas, the limits beyond which manipulation begins. According to Vanga's prophecy, for this sign in 2026, no will sometimes be much more important than yes on the path to great wealth. The special emphasis of the year will be on precision in action. Virgo will not rush into experiments without calculation. In April, August, and October, she will check every serious financial decision through numbers, forecasts, budgets, payback, risks. This will apply to both personal purchases and business moves. They will put off emotional spending if they see that it is knocking them off their strategic trajectory. Baba Vanga will describe them as a person who knows how to count ahead. And this is what will give them an advantage in the year of the fire horse, when others will be acting chaotically. 1 million for a Virgo in 2026 will not be a random gift, but a natural result of a year lived in a state of high consciousness. She will not risk everything, will not succumb to the illusion of easy money, will not believe in schemes that promise quick riches. She will choose a different path: systematic work, consistent improvement of her value, planning, capital protection, and thoughtful investments. Baba Vanga, speaking of the 7 signs that will receive 1 million in the year of the fire horse, will give the maiden a special place. as someone who will not chase after glamour, but will calmly and carefully build a solid financial foundation capable of withstanding any external fluctuations. Libra. In the future financial cycle of the Fire Horse in 2026, Libras will gradually transfer their inner talent for balance and justice to the realm of big money. Where other signs will try to exert pressure through force or speed, Libras will work with precision in their decisions, the ability to weigh all the pros and cons, and the skill to find the ideal point of benefit for all parties. In her statements, the Bulgarian clairvoyant Vanga will associate this sign with people who will turn harmony into capital and diplomatic skills into a resource capable of bringing them to a sum with 6 zeros. At the very beginning of the year, in January, Libras will not be chasing quick profits, but will be conducting a thorough review of their financial situation. They will review contracts, terms of employment, cooperation agreements, and old financial agreements that have long since lost their relevance. What once seemed acceptable will now seem unfair in terms of the effort and nerves expended. This month, Libras will end long-running stories, refuse to play the role of the eternal compromiser, and cancel agreements where their benefits are clearly underestimated. This is where the first steps to big earnings are hidden. They will stop allowing others to take advantage of their loyalty for minimal money. In February, the focus will shift to negotiations. Libras will discuss new rates, expanded responsibilities, bonuses, and percentages of the result. They will not enter into direct conflict, but they will no longer agree to whatever they are given. Their logic will remain cold. If the effort, experience, and reputation invested are not reflected in the amount offered, Libras will calmly but firmly refuse. It is during this period that new employers, clients, or partners will appear in the lives of representatives of this sign, who will be immediately willing to pay more because they are looking not for cheap labor, but for a person who knows how to balance interests. Vanga will associate Libras with those who, in 2026, will skillfully turn the word agreement into real, substantial income. March will be a month of financial decisions where quality will be more important than quantity. Libras will stand at a crossroads between several directions. One offers the usual stability, another looks risky but promising, and the third requires additional training but opens the door to a higher income bracket. At this time, they will not jump emotionally. Their future I will sit at the same table with paper, numbers, and plans. Libras will model scenarios. What will happen if they stay? What will happen if they move? How much they can actually raise in 6 or 9 months. Vanga's hints will work through intuitive feelings. When one of the options suddenly ceases to cause internal resistance, it will become the starting point for growth. In April, new financial stories related to publicity will gradually enter the lives of Libras. Some will start actively maintaining professional pages. Some will go online with their own services. And some will join projects that require their organizational skills, ability to negotiate, and work with conflicts. This month, reputation will come to the fore. Every word, every promise, every deadline will have financial weight. The more disciplined Libras are in fulfilling their commitments, the faster recommendations about them will spread. Vanga will say that in the year of the Fire Horse, money will come not from loud statements, but from results confirmed by deeds, and April will show this very clearly. May will bring the first noticeable breakthrough. By this time, Libras will already be updating their terms of cooperation, expanding their range of new opportunities, and getting rid of ineffective connections. In May, the first big offers will start to appear. Long-term projects, leadership roles, participation in budget allocation, and the opportunity to lead important areas. Some Libras will receive invitations to management positions, some to business partnerships, and some to formats where income will be tied to turnover or profit. Vanga's direct words about Libras, who will be able to earn money from their ability to see the weak points of the system and offer fair solutions, will begin to materialize this month. In June, the financial trajectory of the sign will become noticeably steeper. Libras will feel that the amounts they receive for their work finally correspond to the level of effort and nervous tension they put in. During this period, there will be many negotiations, agreements, and clarifications. Deals that used to take weeks will now be completed much faster because they will learn to clearly formulate their conditions and not get distracted. The energy of the fire horse will strengthen their determination, while their inner scales will restrain them from rash yes answers. In June, the foundation will be laid for large sums that will come in the second half of the year. July will be a time of income distribution. Libras will not allow money to disappear without a trace. They will begin to build a financial architecture. One account for basic expenses, another for savings, a third for investments, and separate baskets for leisure, development, and unforeseen situations. They will not become radical ascetics, but they will not allow themselves to spend everything indiscriminately. In July, they will make their first conscious investment decisions, investments in education, equipment, tools, professional services, and possibly joint projects with clear rules and transparent profit distribution. Vanga will talk about this sign as one that will finally begin to build a foundation not only on knowledge, but also on capital. August will give Libras their first experience with larger sums than they are used to. This month, large orders will be fulfilled, contracts with final payments will be completed, bonuses for completed plans will arrive, and interest on the amount of budgets attracted will be paid. Libras will feel their inner attitude toward money changing. Fear will give way to a calm feeling of, "I deserve this." At the same time, August will be a test of maturity. Will they spend a significant portion of the money on emotional purchases, or will they save most of it for future endeavors? Vanga notes that restraint during this period will be one of the invisible conditions for future success. September will open up new horizons for Libras. Based on their achievements, they will begin to be seen as people who can manage not only their own tasks, but also the broader process. Invitations to partnerships will arise, where it will be necessary not just to execute, but to make decisions about strategy, form a team, and build a motivation system for others. Some Libras will enter new business structures as co-founders, some as top managers with a share in the profits, and some as independent experts with a significant percentage of the results. It is this month that Vanga's words about Libras becoming masters of financial flows, and not just participants, will find tangible confirmation. October will bring the need to consolidate positions. Libras will be busy with legal and financial matters, contracts, taxes, reporting, and proper forms of activity. They will consult with experts, look for optimal taxation models, and understand how to protect capital from unnecessary risks. This may seem dry and boring, but it is in October that they will be convinced that every ounce of order in their documents will save them thousands and tens of thousands. Vanga will emphasize that for Libras, a successful year is always associated with following the rules, not only moral ones, but also financial and legal ones. November will highlight the scale of the changes. By this time, Libras will already have several major milestones behind them, several new sources of income, and experience managing fairly substantial sums. In November, they will summarize. They will analyze which months brought the greatest growth, which decisions proved to be key, where they guessed right. and where they could have acted even more boldly. During this same period, ideas for the future will emerge: business expansion, entry into new countries, new segments, and the creation of large-scale projects. Vanga will suggest through inner feelings where exactly to turn their attention next, so that the money earned not only does not depreciate, but also multiplies. December will be the logical culmination of Libra's financial story in the year of the Fire Horse. By the end of this month, the total income for the year will approach or exceed 1 million if all sources are added up. Main activities, additional projects, partnership percentages, investment income, and bonuses. Libras will see in concrete figures how a change in their attitude towards themselves, their own value, negotiations, and money management will take them to a whole new level. They will no longer associate financial success with good luck. They will know that Vanga's words about their ability to attract justice in money matters will come true through dozens of decisions made throughout the year. Throughout 2026, there will be another important theme in the lives of Libras: relationships and finances as a single system. They will stop silently bearing the costs of others and agreeing to schemes where one person works more but receives less. In January, May, and October, they will ask questions directly. Who pays for what? Who is responsible for what? How are expenses and income distributed in a couple, family, or team? Where the answer turns out to be unfair, they will not limit themselves to insults. They will change the rules or leave such situations altogether. Vanga will link their breakthrough to the fact that they will no longer allow their feelings to destroy the financial foundation of their lives. Libras will also change their approach to risk. If before they could hesitate for a long time and miss out on opportunities because of it, now their caution will not disappear, but will take on a different form. In April, August, and November, they will face decisions where there will be no 100% guarantees, but there will be great potential for growth. They will not rush headlong into every opportunity. Instead, they will gather information, consult with competent people, and calculate the risks. And when the balance between potential gain and danger is acceptable, they will still take a step forward. Vanga's prophecies suggest that in the year of the Fire Horse, the greatest losses for Libras will not be mistakes, but missed opportunities. Personal space and resources will also have financial implications. In the summer and fall, Libras will reorganize their workplace, lifestyle, and routine. They will calculate in advance how every little thing affects their ability to earn money, whether they have a quiet space to concentrate, or whether everything is chaotic, whether they spend time traveling to a place where they can work online without any problems, whether it is more profitable for them to invest in technology that speeds up work processes. Vanga will emphasize that for this sign, a successful year is always associated with order, not only in the wallet, but also around them. As a result, in 2026, Libras will move towards 1 million, not with a leap and not with one miraculous chance, but with a series of accurate, thoughtful, but bold decisions. They will change conditions, refuse unequal agreements, learn to take more for their work, build a system of reserves and investments, and build partnerships where their ability to see both sides of the coin will bring them special status. It is no coincidence that the Bulgarian clairvoyant Vanga will include Libra among the 7 signs that will achieve great financial success in the year of the Fire Horse. It is they who, thanks to a combination of intelligence, diplomacy, and a sense of proportion, will be able to translate the concept of fair exchange into concrete figures in their accounts, where 6 zeros will cease to be a fantasy and will become the result of a year lived in a state of inner balance and outer financial courage. Scorpio. In 2026, Scorpio will enter a phase of life when money will cease to be merely a means of survival or a means of control over others, and will become a lever of influence, scale, and personal freedom. What Baba Vanga once referred to as a sign that will benefit from the chaos of others will manifest itself in the most concrete way. It is precisely in this sign that financial opportunities will arise, where others see only crisis, conflict, or risk. Their inner ability to dig deeper, understand other people's motives, and see hidden patterns will become the main tool for reaching the million-dollar level. And the year of the fire horse will reinforce every strong decision and mercilessly punish weakness and indecision. At the beginning of the year, in January, all unresolved issues that have been put off for years will come to the fore in Scorpio's financial sphere. Joint money, debts, loans, unfulfilled obligations, unprofitable partnerships. All of this will come back to haunt them at once. People of this sign will not avoid these issues, but on the contrary, will delve deeper. They will gather documents, correspond with banks, check terms and conditions, negotiate changes to payment schedules, terminate old contracts, and review interest rates. January will not bring big profits, but it will clean up the financial rear so that you no longer have to drag along what has been constantly eating away at part of your income. This is exactly how what Vanga said about Scorpio will come to pass. Before large sums of money come in, this sign will plug all the holes through which money was previously leaking. In February, hidden resources will begin to manifest in his life. People of this sign will find things that have been lying dormant for a long time, forgotten talents, unrealized ideas, contacts that once seemed untimely. In February, offers will come in that require their ability to work with risks, crises, difficult negotiations, and controversial situations. These may be tasks related to business restructuring, launching bold projects, working with problematic clients, crisis management, legally complex cases where money is at stake and there is no room for error. Scorpios will not shy away from such tasks because they will feel at home with them. It is during this period that the first high stakes will be laid, where fees will be linked not to time spent, but to the scale of responsibility and the result. Vanga said about such people that they will go where others are afraid to even sign up, and it is there that the path to big capital will open up for them. March will be a month of very tough internal decisions. Scorpios will face a choice: either stay in the comfort zone with predictable but limited income, or venture into a space where there is no ceiling but there is constant tension. At this point, they will analyze how much their current work format actually pays them and how much it brings to those who use their expertise. The contrast will become so obvious that they will not be able to ignore it. In March, a decision on a change of format is expected. A transition to another level of position, the launch of his own direction, withdrawal from a partnership that has been holding him back, or, conversely, entry into a structure where money flows through large turnovers. At this time, Scorpio will not ask for permission, but will take steps on his own. Baba Vanga associated this sign with someone who cuts to the quick at the right moment in order to have what others only dream of, and March 2026 will be a vivid confirmation of this ability. In April, when others are still recovering from winter, Scorpio will go on the offensive. Specific actions this month will be related to expanding influence, entering new markets, negotiating with larger players, launching products or services with a different price point, and actively working with those who can increase their incomes several times over in one step. They will present themselves not as an executor, but as a strategic figure who takes on complex tasks and sees them through to the end. April's financial results will be the first sign that their value is beginning to be measured in other terms. Vanga said that for such people, money loves power, and in the case of Scorpio, this power will manifest itself not in rudeness, but in an uncompromising demand for adequate payment for real responsibility. May will lead to a situation where the first large inflows will begin to change the internal sense of normality. Scorpio will look at the amount coming in per contract or per month and realize that not long ago, this was their annual income. Here, there will be a very delicate moment. Either they will allow themselves to relax and spend the surplus on impulsive purchases, or they will use this money as leverage for the next level. It is in May that the cold side of this sign's character will come into play. They will limit their immediate desires in order to prepare a financial foundation for other steps. Vanga's predictions for Scorpio have always contained the motif of gathering strength before a leap, and May's decisions will be just such an accumulation, not of emotions, but of resources. The summer of 2026 will not allow this sign to stop. In June, it will become clear how its name will begin to work for it. Some will turn to it for recommendations, some for participation in new schemes, and some for anti-crisis solutions. Scorpio will choose not on the principle of not sitting idle, but on the criteria of scale and depth, where it is really possible to influence the result, and where they are willing to pay the appropriate money for this influence. In June, large agreements related to the management of other people's resources will be possible. Budgets, projects, departments, funds. Here, their responsibility will become a direct key to income growth. It is during this period that Vanga's words about Scorpio as the guardian of great treasures will materialize in the form of real sums passing through their hands. July will be a month when the issue of control will become more acute. On the one hand, cash flows will be spinning, and on the other, there will be a temptation to keep everything in one place, one format, one bank, one currency. Scorpio will feel that this is dangerous and will begin to diversify, spreading money across different accounts, instruments, and areas. They will understand the conditions, commissions, currency risks, and legislative nuances. To an outside eye, this will look like excessive suspicion, but it is precisely this behavior that will protect their future million from sudden blows. Baba Vanga mentioned that this sign will not rely solely on luck in a strong year, but will create its own armor of financial literacy and thoughtful decisions, and July will clearly confirm this. August will gradually bring Scorpio to the international level, or at least to a wider market than the one in which they previously operated. Online projects, remote services, working with foreign clients, contracts in other currencies. All this will no longer be theory, but practice. They will begin to feel the difference in their paychecks and realize that their expertise is worth completely different amounts if they choose the right audience. The events of August will show that a million does not necessarily mean one huge contract. It can be a combination of several well-structured areas working in parallel. Vanga said that Scorpio will be able to pull the strings from different sides at once, and in 2026, these strings will be money channels from different markets. The autumn months will form the final, most powerful phase. In September, Scorpio will begin to legally secure everything it has done before, renew contracts, formalize new forms of activity, and write conditions to protect its interests for years to come. They will pay attention to the fine print, detail the responsibilities of the parties, and carefully check the wording. It is in this month that they will close the door on manipulation by those who are accustomed to taking advantage of others' trust. Scorpio will have no illusions here. They will understand that one incorrectly written clause could cost them part of their capital. Vanga's words about a sign that will not allow you to be robbed a second time will take on a legally clear form. October will bring tensions to a peak. Amounts that were previously not even considered realistic will appear in accounts, contracts, and agreements. Scorpio will see that the total flow of money for the year will approach the $1 million threshold. At this very moment, another important temptation will appear: to return to the old tactic of everything through me. He will want to control every step, every operation, every decision. But in order not to burn out, they will have to hand over part of the operational management to reliable people or systems. October will be a test of trust and the ability to build a structure around themselves, not just on themselves. According to Vanga, Scorpios who do not rely solely on their own hands will be able to retain and multiply what they earn this year. November will resemble a complex game where every move has a price. At this time, envious people, competitors, and unscrupulous partners may appear. Some will try to pressure, some will try to manipulate, and some will try to impose unfavorable conditions. Scorpio will respond to this not with emotions, but with strategy. They will coldly cut off anything that threatens their money or reputation. They will not be afraid to take difficult negotiations to the legal level, involve specialists, and set strict deadlines. November will show that their financial position is already strong enough that they don't have to please anyone for pennies. Vanga's prophecies that this sign will fight for what is theirs will come true in the form of specific contracts that they will not give up to anyone. In December, as the year draws to a close, Scorpio will analyze the total financial result. If you add up everything that will pass through his hands in 2026, salaries, bonuses, interest, business profits, investment income, the figure will either equal $1 million or exceed that limit. The most important thing will not even be the number itself, but the awareness of the path. January cleanups, February hidden resources, March break with old schemes, April offensive, May resource gathering, summer surges, autumn legal consolidation. All this will not be a set of coincidences, but a well-thought-out trajectory. Baba Vanga associated Scorpio with people who go through the toughest lessons for the highest results, and 2026 will confirm this. $1 million will not fall from the sky for them, but will be wrested from circumstances, people, and their own fears. Throughout the year, there will be another hidden but critical aspect in the life of this sign, a transformation in their attitude toward power over money. If earlier he could unconsciously use finances as a tool to control loved ones or partners, in 2026, he will gradually understand that real power lies not in the ability to keep everyone on a short leash, but in the ability to create conditions in which all participants in the process are interested in mutual growth. In January and March, old patterns will still be evident, but in June and September, they will begin to break down, and in December, Scorpio will reach a new level, when money will work for him and those he consciously lets into his circle, rather than becoming a tool for petty games. It is in this format, as Vanga emphasized, that he will join the 7 signs for whom the year of the Fire Horse will be a moment of transition to a completely different scale of life. Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, 2026, the year of the Fire Horse, will look like a financial roller coaster with sharp rises, quick turns, and big wins for those moments when they act boldly, but not recklessly. This sign will not sit still and wait for money to fall into their hands. They will constantly expand their field of opportunities, new cities, countries, work formats, audiences, partnerships. According to Baba Vanga, This is exactly how Sagittarius will make $1 million in the year of the fire horse. Not by saving on trifles, but through scale, big decisions, and a willingness to do what others do not dare to do. January 2026 will be a flying start for Sagittarius. They will immediately see the gap between how much their experience can bring and what they actually get. At the beginning of the year, they will make tough management decisions about their own lives. They will give up jobs or projects that have no growth prospects. They will stop taking on tasks that pay little but take up the best of their time. Sagittarius will make a list of what they can do at a high level: teach, sell, negotiate, speak, generate ideas, build strategies, and launch new ventures. These are the skills that will be at the center of their financial model. Vanga will connect Sagittarius with people who, in 2026, will stop settling for small things, and January will be the first confirmation of this shift. February 2026 will open up the theme of distant horizons for this sign. Opportunities for cooperation with other cities or countries will arise, as well as offers to work remotely for foreign markets and the possibility of transferring their activities to a multi-currency format. Sagittarius will be actively interested in what rates are paid in Europe or overseas, what fees specialists of their level receive on global platforms, what products can be adapted for a different audience. In February, they will not sit within the confines of a single market. They will see themselves as a player who can work and earn more broadly. Baba Vanga once emphasized that for Sagittarians, large profits will be associated not with locality, but with movement. And in February 2026, this will become obvious. The broader the horizon, the higher the numbers on the horizon. March 2026 will be the first point where Sagittarius will receive confirmation that the bet on expansion is justified. They will begin to receive orders, clients, and partnership offers from other countries or from market segments that they had not even attempted to enter before. These may be online courses, consultations, projects, cooperation with platforms where payment is tied not to hours, but to results, a percentage of turnover, or the number of customers attracted. Sagittarius will act more aggressively in a good way. They will boldly offer their services and products at higher prices, launch experiments, and test new monetization formats. It is in March that the first sums will begin to appear that significantly exceed his old thresholds. Vanga's words that this sign will shoot higher and hit the mark will take on a literal financial meaning. April 2026 will not be calm, but it will be a turning point. Sagittarius will see that as opportunities grow, so does the amount of chaos. Contracts, chats, correspondence, bills, deadlines. All of this will start to overwhelm them. If they don't put their work in order, some of their money will simply slip away. In April, they will change their approach. They will introduce calendars, CRM systems, clear payment terms, advances, deadlines, late fees, and customer service standards. This will be a completely practical step. Without a minimum structure, the $1 million a year of the fire horse will remain an abstract figure. Vanga will warn that during this period, it is vitally important for Sagittarius to learn to organize not only inspiration, but also the process. May 2026 will be the month of coming onto the stage, both literally and figuratively. Sagittarius will perform, record videos, conduct webinars, participate in conferences, and collaborate with people who have their own audience. They will sell not only a product, but also their own image, that of an expert, motivator, strategist, and leader. In May, the first cases will appear when one performance, one broadcast, one correctly structured launch will bring him income comparable to several months of his old job. Baba Vanga will remember Sagittarius as a sign that in 2026 will turn confidence and charisma into real money. In May, he will feel this most clearly. The summer of 2026 will begin with a serious financial leap for Sagittarius. June will bring the results of all the actions of the first half of the year. It is at this time that he will see amounts in his accounts that he previously called someday. Large deals will be closed. The main stages of projects will be paid for, bonuses will be accrued, and payments will come from new sources: online sales, affiliate programs, advertising, and educational products. Sagittarius will realize that their income no longer depends on one employer or one client. It will become truly multi-stream. Vanga's prophecies indicate that Sagittarians in the year of the fire horse will not be tied to one master, and June will be the moment when this freedom begins to be measured in numbers. July 2026 will not be about acceleration, but about readjustment. Sagittarius will feel that they are working at their limit. The number of tasks, people, letters, and obligations will exceed their natural ability to keep everything in their head. There will be two options here. Either they will continue to do everything themselves and risk burning out, or they will do what the energy of the year advises: start putting together a team. In July, they will look for assistants, technical specialists, people for routine work, installation, design, and administrative processes. Sagittarius will give up part of their income to free up what is most valuable: their time for strategic decisions, creativity, negotiations, and large-scale deals. Vanga once said that the greatest risk for this sign will not be a bold step forward, but working themselves to exhaustion. July will be the point where Sagittarius either rises with their team or gets stuck at the on-their-own level. August 2026 will add geography. This period will involve travel, business trips, relocations, participation in events in other cities or countries, relocation for more favorable working or living conditions. Sagittarius will conclude deals on the go, agreements during trips, negotiations in other time zones, online meetings with clients or partners from different parts of the world. It will become normal for them to receive payments in different currencies, have accounts in several banks, and work with platforms that go beyond the borders of one country. Baba Vanga will associate him with those who find money on the road, not within four walls. August will confirm that the more movement, the more financial income. Autumn 2026 will bring Sagittarius to a critical point of approaching $1 million. September will be a month of cold review of everything he is building. At this stage, it will already be clear which areas are the most profitable and which only create the illusion of scale. Sagittarius will count not only turnover, but also net profit. Which products or services really bring in money, where the margin is high, and where expenses eat up almost everything. In September, he will begin to abandon projects that look good on the outside, but do not show decent financial results. It will not be easy, but it is necessary if he wants to make $1 million not on paper, but in reality. Vanga will indicate that in the year of the fire horse, Sagittarius will learn to distinguish between effectiveness and efficiency. October 2026 will enter the life of Sagittarius as a time of great concentration. Several important events will accumulate here at once: final payments on old agreements, new contracts with high rates, the start of long-term projects that will pay off for more than 1 year. During this period, they will conduct the most serious negotiations, discussing not small fees, but percentages of turnover, shares in the business, and partnership terms that allow them to receive regular and substantial income. October will be the month when Sagittarius realizes that his presence in any project is an added value that needs to be monetized accordingly. Baba Vanga will note that this year It is precisely such decisions that will provide him with a decisive leap to a six-figure sum. November 2026 will create a wave accumulation effect. All deals, agreements, and launches that took place during the year will almost simultaneously reach the stage of active payments. Sagittarius will see money coming from different directions, from old customers, new audiences, affiliate programs, interest, educational products, and commercial collaborations. In November, there will be a moment when he realizes that $1 million is no longer a distant goal, but a realistic result for the year if he keeps up the pace and doesn't break the structure. Here, it will be important not to give in to emotions, not to stop, not to decide that this is enough. Vanga will emphasize that it is on the home stretch that Sagittarius can either break through higher or slow themselves down. December 2026 will look busy and intense for Sagittarius in financial terms. This will be a period of signing the last contracts of the year, closing projects, issuing final invoices, and making decisions about where to go next. Sagittarius will take stock. How much has actually been earned? How much has been invested? What percentage is already working as an investment rather than a one-time income? If you add up all the flows for the year, active money, passive income, bonuses, interest, partnership payments, the total figure will approach or exceed 1 million. This will not be a gift of fate, but the result of the fact that throughout the year, from January to December, they will be working in expansion mode rather than reduction mode. Baba Vanga's prophecies about Sagittarians who will skim the cream off great opportunities in the year of the fire horse will manifest themselves in very specific figures. Throughout 2026, one of the key themes for Sagittarians will be related to learning and knowledge. They will not waste time on random courses, but will purposefully choose those that will increase their value in the market. High-level programs in business, marketing, strategic thinking, working with international projects, and personal branding. In February, May, and September, they will be particularly active in investing in new skills that will allow them not only to earn more, but also to speak to the world in a different language, the language of big contracts. Baba Vanga mentioned that Sagittarians will earn money not for their status, but for their ability to show others the way, and in 2026, this will be directly related to their level of competence. The topic of risk will also become important. Sagittarians are naturally inclined to act impulsively, but in 2026, they will learn to combine their inner fire with intelligent calculation. In March, June, and October, they will face high-stakes decisions, whether to enter a new business, participate in a large-scale project, or invest in their own brand as they had previously feared. They will not sign blindly. Each such decision will be verified by figures, expert opinion, and risk analysis. But if the balance is in his favor, Sagittarius will not back down. It is precisely such moments, as Vanga said, that will bring him not a standard income, but a breakthrough to a level where $1 million will cease to be the ceiling and will become a working benchmark. The context of personal life, relationships, and everyday life will also affect money. In January, April, and October, Sagittarius will change the scenario where he supports other people's dreams at the expense of his own resources. They will stop financing people or situations that do not bring mutual value, projects with no prospects, partners who only make promises, relatives who have no plans to change. Instead, they will direct their energy and funds into things that bring real returns, their education, work tools, relocation, and scaling up their activities. Vanga will suggest that in 2026, Sagittarius needs to stop playing the role of savior at their own expense. A high financial level will not be compatible with a constant drain of resources into a void. As a result, in 2026, the year of the fire horse, Sagittarius will move toward $1 million, not through random wins or savings on living expenses, but through bold expansion, market expansion, brand strengthening, a multi-stream income system, and strategic use of their strongest qualities. They will act, as Baba Vanga described, looking further, aiming higher, and using every opportunity that the year of the fire horse opens up. And it is this, not a lucky coincidence, that will provide him with access to a sum that previously existed only in plans, but in 2026 will become a reality, backed by specific contracts, accounts, and numbers. Capricorn. In 2026, the year of the fire horse, Capricorn will gradually build a financial foundation that will allow them not only to reach $1 million, but to maintain this level as a new standard. For them, money will not be a game of chance or a stroke of luck. It will be the result of methodical work, cold calculations, and consistent strengthening of their position. In Baba Vanga's prophecies, Capricorn will be mentioned as a sign that will raise the level of prosperity, not through loud gestures, but through a well-thought-out strategy, where every year, every month, and even every week will have its place in the overall financial plan. At the beginning of the year, in January, Capricorn will focus not on temporary jobs, but on the basic pillars of their future income. They will review their professional trajectory. Does it make sense to stay in their current position? Or should they immediately aim for a promotion, a move to a company with larger budgets, or the launch of their own venture? During this period, Capricorns will not allow themselves to be deceived. If the income ceiling in the current model is too low, they will prepare for change. They will analyze which skills provide the greatest market value and determine where their experience can be paid for many times more. Baba Vanga will note in this sign the ability to look soberly at the facts. January 2026 will force them to answer honestly which money system they no longer have the right to remain in. February will be the month when Capricorns gradually put their plans into action. At this time, they will initiate discussions with management about expanding their area of responsibility and reviewing their pay, send resumes to companies at a different level, and test the market as private specialists if they are self-employed. They will understand that silent waiting will not yield any results. In February, Capricorns will not demand just more money, but will offer a specific set of tasks, indicators, and results for which a different fee can be assigned. It is then that the first agreements will be laid down, which will subsequently provide them with high monthly income. Vanga's prophecies will suggest that Capricorns who take a step toward a new level this month will have a completely different financial trajectory throughout the year. March will reinforce the theme of professional importance. Capricorns will raise the standards of their work. They will not allow themselves mediocre results, shortcomings, or compromises in quality. They will focus on tasks where the stability or development of the business depends on their decisions: team management, control functions, key projects, working with critically important clients or contracts. At this time, those around them will begin to perceive them not as a cog in the wheel, but as a supporting figure. This will gradually translate into numbers. People who keep processes running are always willing to pay more. Baba Vanga will emphasize that Capricorns will not sit in the shadows during the year of the fire horse. They will occupy positions where the level of responsibility is directly proportional to the level of income. In April, Capricorns will pay special attention to financial discipline. Every income, every payment, every expense will become part of a clear system. They will draw up budgets, mandatory expenses, a reserve fund, funds for development, an amount for investments, and a limit on personal purchases. This month, They will form a habit of planning rather than spending spontaneously. Capricorns will see that even with an increase in income, without discipline, money will disappear. They will introduce restrictions not as punishment, but as a tool for accumulation. According to Vanga, in 2026, this sign will be able to turn control over money into a source of peace rather than tension, and April will be the start of this approach. In May 2026, it will become noticeable how not only the financial flow is growing, but also the level of trust in Capricorn. They will be given more complex tasks, access to larger budgets, and included in meetings where strategy is discussed, rather than minor processes. For entrepreneurs of this sign, May will bring large clients or projects with other sums. Capricorn will not seek quick profits. It will focus on long-term agreements and contracts that guarantee a stable high income. Baba Vanga, in her words for this sign, will emphasize, 2026 will reward him for his respect for the long haul, and May's decisions will confirm this. He will choose not quick money, but a predictable flow. June will reveal the topic of investments. Capricorn will begin to view money not only as payment for work, but also as a resource that should work on its own. He will study instruments, deposits, bonds, conservative funds, real estate, and business projects. They will not rush into risky schemes with promises of super high interest rates. They will be interested in models that offer stability and clear returns. In June, they may make their first serious investments, start saving for real estate, buy a share in a real business, or open an investment account with a clear plan for replenishment. Baba Vanga repeatedly emphasized that Capricorns will build their millions not only through hard work, but also through their ability to make capital multiply. This month will be a turning point in their attitude toward their savings. July 2026 will bring the issues of fatigue and resources to the forefront. The volume of tasks, responsibility, and constant involvement in processes may begin to weigh heavily. Capricorns will feel that simply working more hours is a dead end. At this point, they will adjust their workload, optimize their work schedule, delegate technical and routine tasks, and automate some processes. They will look for ways to increase their income, not by working extra hours, but by taking on a different level of tasks. July will be a course correction. Capricorns will give up everything that does not add value to their time. Vanga will note that it is this sign that will learn to value its resources no less than money in the year of the fire horse, and thanks to this, it will not fall behind. August will open up a new level of self-confidence for Capricorn. This month, they will be able to clearly see the difference between their former and present selves, in their ability to negotiate, defend their pay, argue their position, and set conditions. There will be situations where they would have previously agreed to less, but now they will calmly voice an amount that corresponds to the market and their real value. This will scare off some customers, but those who remain will pay more. It is in August that Capricorn will realize that his million-dollar trajectory is linked to his inner permission to earn what he is worth, not what someone once offered him. Baba Vanga will indicate in her prophecies that this sign will get rid of the habit of underestimating itself, and this will have a direct financial impact. Autumn 2026 will be a period when what was prepared in the first half of the year will come to fruition. In September, Capricorns will bring together all their sources of income, their main job, additional projects, investment deductions, and a share of businesses, if any. They will form a clear picture: which streams are basic, which are auxiliary, where the risks are, and where the stability is. At this time, they may decide to cut back on small, energy-intensive sources of income that do not significantly affect overall turnover and strengthen key ones. September will cement them as a person who does not cling to crumbs, because they see that in total for the year, they do not matter. According to Vanga, Capricorns in the year of the fire horse will give up the superfluous without regret if it brings them closer to a great result. In October, the key theme will be status. Capricorns will see that people are beginning to treat them as someone who understands not only their narrow field, but also financial and organizational issues. They will be offered participation in projects at the level of partnership, leadership roles, and advisory positions with influence on strategic decisions. For some, this will be a promotion within the company; for others, an expansion of their own business; and for others, a new stage in their career in a different structure, but with completely different salaries. October will be the month when he realizes that his yes or no determines not only his income, but also the movement of large processes. Baba Vanga will recall that in a favorable year, Capricorn not only rises higher, but also gains the right to influence, and it is for this influence that he will be paid millions. November will focus on long-term commitments. Capricorns will analyze what will happen in a few years if they stay the course, how the market will behave, what skills will be in demand, how the tax and legal reality will change, and which investment instruments will remain relevant. They will not limit themselves to the horizon until the end of the year. They will be interested in how to lay the foundation so that the million in 2026 becomes only the first milestone, and then the capital continues to grow. In November, he may engage financial advisors, lawyers, and tax experts to develop a model that will protect and multiply his money. Vanga's prophecies will say that this sign will think not in terms of the moment, but in terms of future generations, and this is what will distinguish him from other contenders for great wealth. December 2026 will give Capricorn the opportunity to see the whole picture. If you add up the annual income from all sources, salary or business profits, additional services, investment interest, bonuses, commissions, interest from projects in which he participates, the total figure will be in the millions or very close to it. Capricorn will figure this out, not by feeling, but by specific calculations. They will keep track of things and not act randomly. December will bring the understanding that the year of the fire horse will work out every one of his decisions. January elections, February talks, March commitments, April discipline, June investments, autumn redistributions. Baba Vanga will emphasize in her words that this sign will reach 1 million, not by chance, but through the ability to lay out financial reality like a solid wall, brick by brick, without pathos, but with the guarantee that the structure will hold. Throughout 2026, another important aspect will change: Capricorn's attitude toward their own time and personal boundaries. They will gradually stop agreeing to any additional workload just because it's necessary or they ask for it. In February, May, August, and November, the question, "What's in it for me in the long run?" will become particularly acute. Where the answer is only exhaustion, they will stop getting involved. This will also apply to financial requests from others, unreasonable loans, investments in other people's dubious ideas that are based only on promises. Baba Vanga spoke of Capricorn as someone who, in a favorable year, will learn not to let other people's expectations control his money, and it is this position that will protect him from unnecessary losses. The approach to everyday life will also change. Capricorns will view large purchases not as a way to impress someone, but as a tool that either increases their earning potential or improves their quality of life without breaking the bank. Issues related to housing, workspace, transportation, and technology will be resolved not emotionally, but through the prism of cost-effectiveness and functionality. In March, July, and October, decisions will be made that will change everyday reality. Questions may arise about renovating, buying, or changing housing, or upgrading work equipment. Capricorns will not take the first thing that comes along. They will calculate, compare, bargain, and choose the best option. According to Vanga's prophecies, it is this rational approach that will enable them to combine comfort and capital growth, rather than sacrificing one for the other. As a result, the entire 2026 year of the Fire Horse will be a long but logical financial journey for Capricorns. There will be no sudden miracles, but there will be many concrete steps. A change in professional position, clear negotiations, discipline in accounting, careful investments, refusal of unnecessary expenses, increasing one's own value in the market, legal and financial order. It is no coincidence that Baba Vanga will attribute this sign to those who will receive $1 million in 2026. This result will be a natural response to their work ethic, resilience, cool head, and inner readiness to live on a different scale, where big money does not scare or corrupt, but fulfills its role. It gives freedom, stability, and the opportunity to move forward. Aquarius. In 2026, the Fire Horse Aquarius will gradually transform all of his unusual ideas into real financial results that will go far beyond his usual level. Where other signs will try to stick to old patterns, he will boldly break the mold and build his own rules of the game. Baba Vanga will associate Aquarius with people who will be able to look into the future a little further than others and be the first to take the place where the main cash flows will then gather. For him, $1 million in 2026 will not be a random prize. It will be the result of a bold transition to another level of thinking, contacts, technologies, and decisions. Starting in January, Aquarius will no longer be willing to accept that his ideas are making someone else a lot of money. He will clearly sense where his ability to see the big picture, gather obscure facts, and combine digital tools, communications, creativity, and analytics is being underestimated. This winter month, they will begin to plan the year as a grand experiment with their own life. They will make a list of ideas that have been floating around in their head for a long time, but have not had a chance to be realized. Online projects, educational platforms, original formats, digital products, new ways to monetize their audience. January will not be a period of rapid growth, but it is then that he will stop giving his mind to other people's systems for a basic salary and will prepare the ground for his own game. Between February and March, Aquarius will actively expand their network of contacts. They will enter an environment where people earn money from knowledge, technology, and networks. They will join professional communities, online chats, forums, and closed groups where people talk about startups, digital marketing, creative industries, and modern ways of investing. During these months, they will not hide their uniqueness. On the contrary, it is precisely because they are different from the majority that they will attract attention. Their unconventional proposals, uncomfortable questions, and original solutions will cease to be perceived as strange and will begin to be valued as tools for growth. Baba Vanga said that Aquarians will earn money in a strong year where the world is just beginning to realize new directions, and in February and March 2026, he will find people who are ready to invest in his unconventional approaches. In March and April, Aquarius will focus on digital platforms. They will begin testing various models, their own channel, educational products, a consulting platform, a service that brings people together based on their interests, applications, or subscription services. He will not focus on one format. If short videos work better than long lectures, he will quickly adapt. If live online meetings bring in more customers than static content, he will reorient himself. During this period, Aquarius will cease to fear technology. On the contrary, it will begin to use automation services, analytics, payment systems, and cross-platform integrations. Baba Vanga will indicate that it is this sign in the year of the fire horse that will turn technology and the internet from entertainment into the main tool for earning large sums of money. April and May will bring the first tangible financial confirmation that they are on the right track. Aquarians will begin to receive payment for consultations, educational products, and participation in projects as experts in strategy, creativity, or digital solutions. Part of the income will come from several sources at once: project fees, percentage of results, affiliate programs, and content monetization. They will feel that they have moved away from the hourly pay model and are approaching a system where one successful format or customized mechanism can bring in money repeatedly. At this time, Aquarius will begin to count not only how much they earn, but also how. What gives the highest return with the least energy expenditure. Vanga's prophecies that Aquarius will find a way to earn money while remaining themselves in a favorable year will come true precisely through such flexible income models. During the summer months, especially in June and July, unexpected opportunities for collaboration will appear in their life. Some partners will offer to combine audiences and launch a joint product. Some will offer to create an online school, and some will offer to create a digital service that will meet a specific market need. Aquarius will participate in such projects not as an executor, but as a co-creator. They will negotiate not a fixed fee, but a share of the profits, a percentage of sales, and the right to use the created product in different markets. In June, they will learn to look not at the amount of the advance payment during negotiations, but at the potential of the model. In July, they will already be signing agreements that will give them a key role in the development of the direction. Baba Vanga has repeatedly emphasized that Aquarius, in the year of the fire horse, will be among those who are part of the products of the future, and it is this participation that will form a significant part of his future million. August will be a time of testing his inner maturity in dealing with money. When the amounts start to grow, there will be a temptation to spend on impulsive trips, gadgets, and entertainment that were previously unaffordable. Aquarius will not deny himself completely, but at this point, he will realize that he can either burn his new resources in one summer or use them to lay the foundation for bigger steps. It is in August that they will create their first reserves, open separate accounts, set aside a fixed portion of each income, and distribute finances between savings, project development, and personal expenses. Here, he will be helped by what Vanga warned about. Aquarians who learn to control their impulses during a year of great flow will discover an even more powerful level of prosperity in the second half of the year. Autumn 2026 will be a period of systematization and consolidation for Aquarians. By early September, they will see which monetization models work consistently and which ones have a one-time effect and need to be replaced or thoroughly reworked. They will begin to organize what previously existed as a chaotic creative flow into a clear structure, a product line, a clear price list, fixed terms of cooperation, automated sales funnels, and repeatable formats that can be scaled. In September, Aquarius will put legal issues in order: contracts, terms of use for content, formalization of partnerships, copyrights. Baba Vanga will point out that it is at this stage that Aquarius will cease to be just a generator of ideas and become the owner of a system capable of bringing in large sums regardless of emotional state or inspiration. October will reinforce the theme of international reach. This month, Aquarius will gain contacts abroad, an audience from other countries, and orders from companies or people working in foreign markets. Questions will arise about currency, taxes, payment systems, and settlements with clients from different jurisdictions. Aquarians will quickly navigate these nuances. They will compare commissions, look for profitable ways to receive funds, and study the rules to avoid blockages and unnecessary losses. Their income will begin to be tied not only to the economy of one country, but to global movements. Vanga's prophecies will be particularly relevant here. She believed that Aquarians, during a favorable period, will be able to break out of the financial constraints of a single space and connect to flows that circulate on a larger scale. November will turn into a month of peak concentration. At this time, the completion of old contracts, the launch of new products, intensive sales, and negotiations on long-term agreements for the next year will all coincide. Aquarius will work at a fast pace, but no longer chaotically, but according to clearly defined priorities. First, the most profitable tasks, then everything else. They will weed out secondary projects that do not provide a tangible financial return, even if they are interesting from an idea point of view. November will allow them to see the approximate annual result. If all sources of income are added up, active and passive, partnership and direct sales, it will become clear that Aquarius is approaching or has already crossed the million mark. Baba Vanga will emphasize that in these last months of the year, it is important not to slow down, but to calmly bring everything that has been started to the desired conclusion, without losing focus on the main sums. December 2026 will be not only a time to take stock, but also a starting point for the next round. Aquarius will calculate their total income for the year, taking into account not only the money that has already come in, but also that which is guaranteed to be accrued under signed contracts, long-term programs, subscriptions, and licenses. These figures will show them what a million looks like in reality, not as one giant payment, but as the sum of dozens and hundreds of payments from different areas, working together as a single ecosystem. In December, Aquarius will begin planning how to use this result, how much to set aside for investments, how much to spend on scaling, and how much to allow themselves as a reward. They will not be thinking so much about purchases as about new levels of freedom, the ability to choose where to live, who to work with, and which projects to start. Baba Vanga will see in this the only correct meaning of a million for Aquarius, not just a sum, but a key that opens the door to a different way of life. Throughout the year, it is important that Aquarius changes their attitude to risk. They will not gamble with money, but they will not remain in the zone of excessive caution either. In February, June, and October, decisions will appear in their life where there are no 100% guarantees, but there is obvious potential. They will gather information, analyze it, consult with those who have already gone down a similar path, and only then make a decision. At the same time, if the balance between risk and possible outcome is in their favor, Aquarians will not waste time. They will act faster than their competitors and take over niches that are not yet occupied. Vanga warns that in 2026, it will be the speed of decision-making without losing adequacy that will become a critical factor for Aquarius's success. No less important will be the issue of personal boundaries. Aquarius will realize that their main resource is not only money, but also attention. In January, May, and September, they will ruthlessly cut out everything that steals their time without giving anything back. Empty arguments on social media, communication that drags them down, other people's projects where they are used as a free resource. They will stop doing it for the company if they see no point or prospects. This will free up a tremendous amount of time, which he will devote to his own products, learning, and contacts with people who open doors to the world of big money. Baba Vanga believed that during a strong period, Aquarius is able to choose among many voices those that lift them up rather than drag them down, and in 2026, this will become not just a nice phrase, but a practical financial tool. The structure of everyday life will also change. Aquarius will not tolerate chaos in their daily life if they see that it prevents them from concentrating. In March and July, they will organize their space for deep work. They will set up their workplace, remove unnecessary items, and organize digital files, service subscriptions, and communication channels. Each of these small steps will reduce the level of constant background tension and free up the brain to keep complex schemes, strategies, and numbers in mind. In October, Aquarius will already see that their ability to think big is directly related to how structured their everyday environment is. Vanga will emphasize that for this sign, internal order will become a platform from which they can calmly reach any financial heights. As a result, Aquarius will reach 1 million in 2026, the year of the fire horse, due to a combination of factors: the courage to enter new niches, the ability to work with technology, the ability to see financial potential where others do not yet see anything, discipline in handling money, and a willingness to build a system rather than live from case to case. It is no coincidence that Baba Vanga will include them among the 7 signs that will reach a special level of prosperity during this period. Aquarius will combine the future, which they sense intuitively, with very specific actions each month of the year, from January decisions to December results, where a 6-figure sum will not be a fantasy, but a logical result of a year lived in their own unique style. Pisces. For Pisces, 2026, the year of the fire horse, will be like a slow but steady rise from the depths to the surface, where not only dreams, but also specific numbers in accounts will finally become visible. Where doubts and hesitations previously dominated, a strange inner strength will appear in this cycle. They will rely not on the logic of other people, but on their own sense of the right direction. In her prophecies, Baba Vanga will associate Pisces with those who are able to transform a subtle sense of the moment into very real material results if they do not shy away from responsibility. This year will gradually prove that Pisces' intuition will not just be a gift for other people's advice, but a full-fledged tool for their own enrichment. In January, Pisces will not rush into new financial adventures. On the contrary, outwardly, nothing dramatic will happen, but internally, an important process will begin, a reassessment of what they spend their energy and time on. They will begin to honestly notice where they have been working themselves to exhaustion for years for little pay, where they have agreed to emotional pressure, where they have taken on other people's responsibilities without adequate compensation. People of this sign will begin to ask themselves direct questions. What they do has real financial prospects, and what exists only out of habit and fear of change. January will be marked by internal conclusions. Pisces will feel that they will no longer allow their skills, talents, and sensitivity to be taken for granted. In February, the first outward movement will appear. Pisces will start trying new formats. They will post their services on platforms, test different price levels, and offer their skills to a wider circle of people than before. Some will go online with their experience, some will look for work in another city or country, and some will open up additional sources of income, consulting, creative projects, joint initiatives. Pisces will not be ready for loud statements, but the first money received from new attempts will give them an important signal. The world is ready to pay more than they are used to thinking. At this time, Vanga's words about Pisces being able to achieve great wealth by refusing to play the role of eternal assistant and stepping into the role of an independent player will gradually take on meaning. March will bring the first financial turning points. People will turn to Pisces with the words, "You understand, help me figure this out, do what you know how to do." But now, they will not automatically respond with, "Okay, later," but will remember that their time and expertise have value. This month, they will establish new rules. Instead of free courtesy services, there will be clear agreements. What exactly is being done, when, and for what reward. The option of, "I'll do it, and then we'll figure something out," will gradually become a thing of the past. Pisces will feel that as soon as they stop giving themselves away for free, people will start coming who are willing to pay for their depth, empathy, creativity, and ability to sense nuances. In April, another layer of the Year of the Fire Horse will be revealed, the theme of decisions that have been long overdue. Pisces will be faced with the necessity of either remaining in their old working conditions with a consistently low income, or accepting an offer with more responsibility and stress, but also a completely different financial horizon. They will not hide from this choice for long, as they did before. Something inside will push them. If not now, then when? Some representatives of the sign will change jobs, some will join a new project, and some will start their own business, which they were afraid to even begin. It is in April that Pisces will take a step from the internal, maybe someday, to the plane of concrete action. Baba Vanga has repeatedly emphasized that their wealth will come not when they calculate everything, but when they trust themselves enough not to back down at the door. May will be the first month when Pisces will see a real shift in income. After a few bold decisions, orders, clients, and offers will start coming in, bringing significantly larger sums. It won't be an instant million, but the difference from the old level will become so obvious that their internal limiter will begin to weaken. People of this sign will stop being surprised that they are being offered good pay. They will gradually begin to perceive this as the norm. In May, Pisces will also notice that the more honest they are with themselves in choosing the things they do, the easier it is for money to come. When they do not betray themselves for the sake of others' expectations, reality seems to adjust and give them more decent financial options. The summer of 2026 will begin to bring together into a single picture what will begin in the spring. In June, Pisces will look at their day differently. They will stop filling it with aimless activity and will separate tasks that lead to money from those that simply create the appearance of busyness. Their schedule will include areas of focused work where they will not be distracted by trifles. Thanks to this, their productivity will reach a new level, even if it seems that they are not working more. In June, Pisces will feel that they can do more quality work in the same amount of time, which will directly translate into income. This will be one of the hidden mechanisms for approaching the large sum that Vanga spoke of. July will lead to the topic of inner freedom in financial matters. Pisces used to take on things that were not close to them only because of the fear of being left without money. This month, they will begin to notice that the more they act from the position of "it must be done," the less they receive in their wallets and in their emotions. This will be replaced by a different mindset, better less, but honestly, to themselves and their sense of meaning. This does not mean abandoning responsibility. On the contrary, Pisces will take on more weight where they really see meaning and will weed out tasks that go against their nature and drag them down. July will be the month when they stop sacrificing themselves for pennies. It is during this period that their inner self-respect will begin to directly change the structure of their income. In August, Pisces will encounter the theme of expansion, both geographical and professional. Their lives will be filled with offers or contacts from people from other cities, countries, and fields of activity. Some will offer online collaboration, some will offer participation in a joint project, and some will offer work in a remote market. Pisces will not rush into the first opportunity that comes along, but they will feel that there are places outside their usual circle where their talents are paid much higher. In August, the first steps toward multi-currency income will be taken. Part of the payment may come in the form of foreign currency payments, fees from abroad, or cooperation with those who work in a different economic reality. For a sign that is often accustomed to underestimating its capabilities, this will be a significant shift. It was precisely this kind of change in self-perception that Vanga was referring to when she spoke of Pisces breaking out of their old circumstances. The fall of 2026 will not be a peaceful one for Pisces, but it will be as productive as possible. In September, they will be faced with the need to bring strict order to their financial affairs. The habit of keeping everything by feel can play a cruel joke when the amounts start to grow. Pisces will begin to record income and expenses, separate personal and work money, form reserves, and set aside a percentage of each income, even if at first glance it seems insignificant. They will understand that without structure, even large sums will slip through their fingers. September will be the month when this intuitive sign learns to treat numbers not as enemies, but as allies. It is this inner transformation that Baba Vanga considered one of the key elements of Pisces' path to wealth. October will be marked by the theme of choosing among many options. At this stage of the year, Pisces will receive several offers, directions, and projects at once. They will be tempted to grab everything again, out of fear of losing something. But now, they will be more attentive to where their participation brings the best results per unit of time and energy. In October, they will make unpleasant but profitable decisions. They will give up secondary tasks, even if they seem familiar and safe, in favor of those where the stakes are much higher. This month will reveal Pisces' true maturity in finances. They will stop hiding in temporary jobs and focus on what can take them to a whole new level of income. November will be a month of accumulated results for Pisces. During this period, projects with final payments will be completed, and bonuses, interest, and fees for previously completed work will be received. Pisces may be surprised to find that their accounts and cash reserves suddenly contain amounts that they did not have before. It is in November that they will truly feel for the first time that they are moving towards $1 million not as an abstract goal, but as a specific financial result for the year. If you add up all the flows, the figures will add up to an unexpectedly large amount. Baba Vanga warned that the most difficult thing for Pisces will be to believe not in prophecies, but in the fact that they themselves are creating a reality that confirms these words. November will be just such a point. December 2026 will consolidate everything that Pisces will do during the year of the Fire Horse. They will calculate their total income, salaries, additional projects, online ventures, currency receipts, bonuses, interest, and be surprised at how far they have come from where they started in January. For some, $1 million will appear as the total result within a year. For others, this amount will be very close to the actual result. But most importantly, the feeling that this is a foreign standard of living will disappear. Pisces will look at their finances not from the position of somehow it worked out, but with an understanding of exactly which decisions led to this result. Throughout 2026, another important aspect will change: Pisces' attitude toward people through whom they lose or find money. They will stop attracting those who are used to taking advantage of their kindness. In February, June, and October, they will more sharply break the habit of financing other people's irresponsibility, endless loans, paying for other people's mistakes, participating in schemes where everyone wins except themselves. Instead, their circle will begin to include more people who not only take, but also bring opportunities, joint ventures, access to new markets, professional growth, and information that can be converted into profit. This is what Baba Vanga meant when she said that in a favorable year, Pisces will change not only their circumstances, but also their environment, which either pulls them up or drags them down. Another key aspect is their inner belief that they are entitled to decent rewards. Pisces are used to being sensitive, but they have often been shy about their financial ambitions. In 2026, this attitude will gradually change. They will allow themselves to plan for large sums of money without feeling guilty. They will stop reducing their desires to the minimum just to survive. They will begin to think in terms of debt-free leisure, housing that meets their needs, work that not only gives meaning, but also high income, and a safety net that allows them not to cling to every penny. This internal shift will become the invisible support on which the million that Baba Vanga spoke of will rest, naming Pisces as one of the signs that will be able to combine their natural depth with great material results in the year of the fire horse. Thus, the path of Pisces in 2026 will not look like a single random win or a sudden gift of fate. It will be a consistent transformation, from the habit of living for others to choosing in favor of one's own value, from chaotic earnings to structured income from several sources, from fear of money to the ability to manage it consciously. In her prophecies, Baba Vanga will point to Pisces as a sign for which the year of the fire horse will be a turning point. Those who do not shy away from decisions will see not only a new level of income at the end of this cycle, but also a completely different scale of life, in which a million will not be the peak, but the first big step.